What's going on YouTube? So the standard bearer small sedan has long been the Honda Civic. However, it's getting more and more expensive.
Enter the Mazda 3, a very premium alternative that actually costs thousands less than a Honda Civic Sport in the Select Sport trim.
So, is this a better deal? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So let's get started under the hood. There's two different powertrains you can select. The base powertrain is still more powerful than the Honda Civic Sport. It's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine with 191 horsepower. This can be paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission, and our combined fuel economy is 31 mpg.
Now the base price for the Mazda 3 is $24,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, later on, we'll show you what that powertrain is like in the test drive section. We'll also be doing things like getting you our sound level reading, and then at the end, we'll also be discussing resale and reliability.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood and see just how much of the sophisticated design and interior do carry over from the more expensive trim levels to this more affordable one. Now, the Mazda 3 is available in a lot of different trim levels. For those of you who don't know, the Select Sport was a new addition to the trim lineup last year, and that's going to be the second from the base trim level. So it definitely comes in at the very affordable price tag. And one of the things I really like about this is the fact that Mazda does not really change the design because it's a lower trim. As you can see, you still get that signature look. You're gonna have the same grille up in the front, finished mostly in black, with that nice chrome surround that's gonna trace around the outside edges. Our lighting is also not downgraded either, so you're gonna have full LED lighting. These are projector LED headlights. Really, really nice to see them on board of a vehicle at this price. And then you got your daytime running light and fading turn signal indicator as well. And then as we move around to the back, it continues to have that signature Mazda design.
Yeah, and I think it's a very premium overall look to it, especially for this segment. Now, let's go ahead and break down some of those design elements. No spoiler or anything on this model. However, we do have some really premium taillights for this segment. As you can see, we have an LED brake light portion, LED reverse light, LED fading turn signal indicator. That's certainly something that the Civic cannot claim, a full LED taillight. Now, down here at the very bottom, all of this is going to be finished in body color. We're also going to keep dual exposed exhaust outlets, which looks quite nice.
Moving on to the wheels, you'll see the same thing happen here as well. We have 18-inch alloy wheels, just like the upscale models. Full glass black finish on board as well. They look quite nice. And then you got the gloss black finish up here on our mirrors. You have standard blind spot monitoring on all models. This version also comes with heating.
Now at the side of the Mazda 3 sedan, we have a length of 183.5 inches. You can also get a hatchback variety if you want a little bit of a sportier design as well as more cargo space. Now as far as your safety systems are concerned, I'm very happy to tell you, despite the affordable price tag, you are going to have every single active safety feature as standard equipment. That will even include things like adaptive cruise control. But guys, I think you're also going to be very pleasantly surprised at what you get on the inside, so let's dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, moving on to the interior. Here's our key fob, typical Mazda key fob. This is a smart entry system. So we can just reach behind the handle and that will unlock the door. And then taking a look inside at the interior, we're gonna have a surprisingly upscale design and material choices for this second to base model. One of those things that's upgraded is the fact that we have leatherette seats instead of the standard cloth seats on just that base model. Nice feel to these. They're pretty realistic. We have some stitching details running throughout, and you've got a couple colors you can choose between. Obviously, as you can see, the seats themselves are manual adjusting until you go up the trim structure a little bit more. When you upgrade, you can get 8 ways of power adjustment. You can also get memory seats as well. But let's go ahead and climb inside. And now that we're fully inside the interior, let's look around at the materials. So across our door trim, we've got a nicely padded leatherette. Same material goes through the center section as well as through here with a stitching detail. The plastic soft touch along the top of the door trim and the entire top part of the dashboard. We have leatherette that runs all through here again with stitching details, and I'm very surprised to see that we even have the leatherette along the tunnel for our knee to rest against. That's right, guys. On the second to base model, you have this level of solidity and materials. Very, very impressive. And let's fire it up with the push button start. Now, starting off with the interior features here, we'll take a look at the gauge cluster. This is your typical Mazda fare where you've got the 7-inch reconfigurable display in the middle. You can switch a few different designs, and then you got the traditional analog gauges on the outside edges. Of course, your high-end trims can get a head-up display. That you won't find that on this model, but you will still find rain-sensing wipers. That is a standard feature on all the trim levels. The wheel itself has a nice leather wrapping here on this trim level. It's manual, tilt, and telescoping. Heating is also an upscale feature that is offered. And let's take a look at the interior storage next. So even though this is a compact sedan, you actually don't really have high expectations for a vehicle in this class, but this really does kind of exceed those expectations, because if I slide this back, you're going to see a large center console. Obviously, it has donuts inside. That's because that's our logo, and we like to check the volume with the stuffed donuts. There are 11 donuts inside of this. That's really, really good for a compact sedan. Also, this is an adjustable armrest as well. Up in front of that, you got a couple cup holders, and then you have a pretty decently sized storage cubby right there. Pulling back to the shifter, it's just a traditional style one. You're just going to pull back for drive, bump over here to the left if you want to shift manually. No paddle shifters on the steering wheel. For these models, you have to get the turbo to get that. And when we go into reverse, you'll see the standard backup camera. Obviously, nothing really special going on. We don't expect that for this price point. But you do still have an electronic parking brake with a brake hold function. Now, next to that, you'll find a control knob. This is used for your infotainment system, although in certain situations you can touch it. I'll talk more about that in just a second. Now, also in this area, you have your volume knob. There's going to be 3 different audio system setups you can get as you move through the trim structure. This, of course, is the standard one. It has 6 speakers, and let's give it a sample. So overall sound quality is perfectly fine for this price point. Fills up the cabin nicely. You can still get an 8-speaker sound system and even a 12-speaker Bose sound system at the very top end. All right, now taking a look at our climate controls. As you can see, this is a dual zone automatic climate setup. Nice and simple to use knobs and buttons here. One thing you will notice that we do not have is the heated seats. You're going to have to move up the trim structure a little bit more if you want to get heated seats. And in terms of our main infotainment system, this is the 8.8-inch display. There's 2 different screens. Higher end ones get a larger 10.1-inch screen. And in terms of the software, this is Mazda's kind of signature software. So you're mostly going to be using the control knob here to engage with it, although you can touch it in certain scenarios when you have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay paired. Speaking of those 2 systems, on the lower end examples, this is not a wireless setup, so you will have to actually get out your cord and plug it in and stick it inside the center console to connect. Up top here, we've got a manual dimming mirror. The lighting is LED, gives some sunglass holder. You don't get a sunroof on this trim level, but if you move one more trim level up to the preferred, you will.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the rear seat area for the Mazda 3 sedan. Now, overall, it's a pretty nice place to spend time, even though this is a smaller sedan. We're looking at about 35 inches of legroom and 37 inches of headroom. That does mean for someone who is 5'9", like myself, it's a pretty comfortable place to spend time. Now, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler, and the reason I do that is because Drew's 5'8", and this is his seat adjustment for someone who's 5'9". Like I said, about 5 inches of additional knee room is what you can expect. Also, my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seats, and unlike a lot of options in this segment, these rear seats are actually really nice and plush. A lot of the options really cheap out on the rear seat area, and they also don't include an armrest with cup holders inside on the lower end trim levels. You're going to get that here on the Mazda 3. Now, features-wise, there's no vents and no USB ports. That's honestly not expected until you get to the higher end models, which Mazda will throw in those features if you get a higher end version. Now, if you look over at the door trim, it's going to be hard. Actually, it's a soft touch plastic. I was already gearing up to say it was a hard touch because I couldn't believe it, but it is soft touch plastic, leatherette all through the center section, leatherette in the armrest portion, and we do also have a bit of door storage. Walking up to the trunk area, there is a button under the lid here, so that will open it up. As far as overall cargo space, 13.2 cubic feet is what you can expect to find here on the Mazda 3. That's a decent amount of space. Do keep in mind they offer the hatchback variety as well if you would like to have a little bit more cargo space and utility, but overall a good amount. We additionally have 60/40 split folding rear seats. Let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures as well. Overall cargo length is 41 inches from behind the second row of seats. Cargo opening is 36 inches wide, and then height is 20 inches tall. So pretty good measurements for a sedan. If you lift up the cargo floor, there is also a spare tire. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Mazda 3. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting our sound level reading, but let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, 60 miles an hour with the Mazda 3. So like we mentioned at the spec dump, I can't remember which year it was, but they took out the base engine offering for this model and moved everything to the standard 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine with 191 horsepower, 186 pound-feet of torque. Now, those are really strong numbers for the segment. Typically, things in this class kind of land around 150 in terms of what you get on a standard trim level. So having that additional power is definitely very noteworthy.
Yeah, it makes you definitely feel like you're accelerating quite a bit faster, especially here on the base end. Additionally, it's just not a turbocharged powertrain or anything. It's just a standard 2.5 liter model. Now, if you do want something turbocharged with more power, you can get the turbo variant. That has 250 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. So that thing is absolutely very quick in this. We have driven that several times before in the Mazda 3, and in a small package like this, that thing is really surprisingly fast. So if you care about the dynamics and the driving, maybe get that turbo, but this one is going to be more than adequate for the vast majority of people, especially if you're looking to cross-shop between this and a Honda Civic, for instance. The Honda Civic Sport is going to have about 150 horsepower, so this is a 41 horsepower improvement over that, and also the transmission is different, which Drew will talk about in just a second.
Now accelerating to this red light, like Mason was kind of leading us into, let's talk about the transmission. 6-speed automatic transmission. This class, very rare to see a traditional automatic anymore. Pretty much everything has gone continuously variable transmission. That is the case with the Civic. So if you like that more traditional feel, this Mazda 3 is going to be a good choice. As far as the transmission quality, just like in all their applications, it's nice and smooth. Nothing really wrong with it or anything like that. Yes, it is a lower number, but again, most of the time you're cross-shopping this with a continuously variable transmission.
Yeah. Now, as far as how power is routed to the ground, the Mazda 3 can get all-wheel drive, so that's something noteworthy as well. Some of the rivals do not offer that. You can get it in both the space engine setup. You can also get it standard equipment if you choose a turbo model. And as far as fuel economy, we're sitting at 31 miles per gallon with the front-wheel drive version, 30 mpg with all-wheel drive, and if you choose the turbo, 27 mpg. So really pretty good fuel economy across the board. However, you are missing a hybrid variant like the Civic, which gets 50 mpg, or a Corolla, which gets even better than that. So just be aware of that. No hybridized option, so you will be spending a little bit more at the pump than those rivals. All right, but we have finally cleared out of some traffic, and now it's time for us to discuss overall ride quality with the Mazda 3. Now, this is an area that I'm pretty satisfied in, that's for sure. This vehicle, it's kind of hard to, put it into words, but the Mazda 3 just feels so solid overall. In typical Mazda fashion, everything's put together really nicely. So I appreciate just the overall solid feel of this vehicle. And when it comes to the ride specifically, I will say, it's not the smoothest ride. It's not going to be the most comfortable option in the segment. You can get things like a Corolla XLE that have better ride than this. However, I think they've done a great job of balancing sporty characteristic with good ride. It's certainly not going to be something that you're super uncomfortable driving down the interstate, anything like that. But it does have a signature sporty Mazda characteristic, which does mean that you'll feel some bumps into the cabin as you kind of expect. Now let's get our sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. .3 decibels in this Mazda 3. We don't have to sit here and guess. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings to see how this compares to other compact sedans you may be looking at. And that definitely places it as one of the quieter compact sedans that we have tested out. A lot of them in this segment are going to be quite a bit louder, including the Honda Civic, which, is one of the loudest options in the segment. So definitely a little bit more of a premium overall experience in terms of noise entering into the cabin, overall solidity in the cabin as well.
But of course, when you come to a corner, this is a big area that is distinguishing Mazda from rival brands, and that's just the sporty driving dynamic. Whether you choose something, one of their big expensive offerings or a small sedan like this, you're going to get that great handling. They do a great job with the steering. Nice responsive steering, has good heft to it as well. And then, of course, the body, as you saw when you go around the corner, stays nice and flat. It's very rewarding to drive, like I said, whether you're going around a corner or you're doing, like I have been doing, avoiding potholes after a snowstorm.
All right, let's get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk in this Mazda 3?
The Slam Dunk's going to be the overall value. This trim really impresses us. I mean, the whole product impresses us, but when you start to break down just how much you get and what type of premium experience you have for this money, it really stands out against a lot of the competition.
Yeah, it's almost like the fully loaded package, just missing a few little features. Now, on the flip side, what we're going to say on the Airball is that we don't have a hybrid, especially when we're looking at comparing it directly to a Honda Civic. They do offer a Civic Sport hybrid model, and that, while it does cost more than this, does mean that you don't have an option that gets 50-ish miles per gallon. So for a lot of people, I think that's going to be a big deal, especially in today's market. So at the very beginning, I said this vehicle starts at $24,000, but how much is this select sport trim level? I'm very happy to tell you this one is only about $600 more, $24,600 plus the $190 floor mats on this model, $1,185 destination. We are sitting at $26,065 as tested today for this 2025 variant. That is about $1,500 less than a Civic Sport with no options on it at all. So I think this represents a really good value for what you're getting here for that price tag. Now, if you want to get an even better value, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation and can help dealers to start competing on price. We even have a monthly payment tool if you'd like to check that out. Once again, a link is in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Mazda 3's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 59.44% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 125,000 miles, 25.2%. Now, it is worth noting that is a very good resale value by percentage. It's one of the very best. It's actually in the top 5. It's only below other brands such as Toyota, Honda, and Subaru.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies on reliability from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture, and has also been updated to the latest 2025 data. In this regard, Mazda is rated above the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so this is a great place to look, especially if you're looking at cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Additionally, Mazdas are protected by a 3-year, 36,000-mile basic warranty, 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain. They do not do complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2025 Mazda 3 Select Sport. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.